And welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Charlene and I were having a little fun there before the show got started. So if we start out giggling, you'll know why.
Right.
Charlene, it's so good to see you. So glad to have you here today. And that's a interesting picture you got behind you there with the sailboats and all that. Yeah.
Added some color and life to the background today. I love it.
Oh yeah.
I
Absolutely.
picked a different wall.
There you go. There you go. It's really interesting that, Charlene is with us because she's an honorary host here on the E360 TV network. That's one thing she does. Another thing she does, she's works with an airline, chartered airline, and she trains people. And she's just a very busy person. She's also, let me pull it up here, give you a chance to say something about this. And let me find Hannah. Where's Hannah? Where's Hannah? Here, Hannah. There's Hannah.
Here it
And
is.
that's an organization you helped found or you did found. Is that it?
I did. I
Mhm.
founded the
Oh,
nonprofit. It's called Healing Acres Never Again.
mhm,
HealingAcresNeverAgain.org. We call it Hannah for short. And
mhm,
Hannah helps people who've been through any kind of a sexual trauma.
mhm,
We help people with incest, domestic violence, rape, and abortion.
mhm,
And I based it off my own personal experiences. From a child, I had experienced incest. So I kind of took my healing journey and I put it into a program for people to follow. And
mhm,
basically, when you go through traumas like that, it's so important to have a support network. And
mhm,
we want to build that support network to give people a safe place in
mhm,
nature. Healing Acres is a silver tree. It's about redemption and healing.
mhm,
So it's a place to go and get alone, talk to God, pray about things, and
mhm,
just be able to look at the truth of things and
mhm.
have somebody kind of hold your hand through it, not go with you, but just knowing somebody
Support
is
you.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
In addition to all those things she does, she helps us co-host the show here. We got Mr. Bert Oliva. I believe that's the way you pronounce his last name. And Bert will be with us. In fact, he's right here in the back studio right now. I see him. But we'll be right back right after this brief message, and you'll see another thing that Charlene does.
Hi, and welcome to the Messages of Inspiration and Hope show that's proudly sponsored by the 6-Minute Webinar. Today we have some exciting and very interesting guests, real people just like you and me. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the show. Now here's Jim.
Hey, you see there, wears all kind of hats, don't you?
Good to have all kinds of fun.
Yeah. Well, let's welcome Mr. Burt to the stage there. I hear a little bit of echo in there. Is that your speaker or is that? Let's see. I just saw him? Where'd he go?
I don't hear anything.
Okay. Well, Burt was there, so we're going to try to get him back in here, and we'll go from there. And let's see here. Let me do this right here. I got to do a banner here. We are brought to you by the 6-Minute Webinar, and I think Burt's got his connection back again. Let's see here.
There he is.
There he is. How you doing, Bert?
Great. How about yourself, Jim and
Doing
Charlene? Correct?
Yes. Hi, Bert.
yes.
Yeah.
And I think your
can't
last
really.
name is pronounced. Go ahead.
No, this is gonna be the first for you. Believe it or not, it's the first for me. I'm traveling right now, so I can't really
Uh-huh.
even see the screen. But I know that I
Mhm.
have you guys. I can see your names.
Mhm.
But the whole thing is about taking action, right? In life, that's what it is. So we have to
Oh
seize
yeah.
the moment. And since your show is so great, and I've heard so many good things from Orly Amore and
Oh okay.
Karen Perkins,
Hmm.
that I know for years. And I'm like, I can't miss out. So my team set it up, and
Oh
I'm
yeah.
right now in the car trying the best
Yeah.
connection possible to be able to be on your show.
That's quite all right. We fully understand that. We appreciate you joining us. And hey, you look just as just like you would be in front of your regular in your studio and camera. We see you real well, don't we, Charlene?
We do. We see you perfectly well. It looks like a
Hmm.
beautiful day there, wherever you are.
Yeah, got that sunroof there. Oh my goodness gracious! Yeah, I tell you. It's sure a pleasure having you. And Bert, let me
Thank you.
first of all let me put your website up there, and that's www.bertoliva.com. And Bert,
Correct.
share a little bit with the folks about who you are and what you do, sir, if you would please.
Yeah, well, I've been doing seminars professionally all over the world for over 27 years. I
Mm.
basically do business. I'm a business and leadership strategist, and I teach
Hmm.
human behavior and leadership skills. And I've been,
Hmm.
like I said, I've been doing it for 27 years all over the world, and I love what I do. It's just basically that's basically it. Very simple.
Oh yeah, that's very important in life, and to do what what you love to do. Then it's no longer work, and that's what we experience here. And the way that Charlene and I teamed up, and the way this TV show actually came into existence. I've got a radio show, and but during the pandemic, Bill Heinrich, I think we just lost him. He'll be right back.
He's just going to pop in and out.
There you go. You got to keep putting some quarters in that thing, Bert. Oh, let's see.
Well,
Let's welcome
we'll
back to
just
the stage. There he
keep
is.
talking
Hey,
about it.
you just got to
He'll be
put
back.
keep. Yeah, you just got to keep putting some quarters in there because it's kind of a funny story what you're experiencing there. Because we started with the on Zoom and Facebook Live during the pandemic, and the way it all came about, Bill Heinrich says, "Hey, we need to address this pandemic. We need to get some messages out there, and let's call it message of inspiration, hope, and support." That was the original name for it. Okay, we can do that. And Dr. Sony Jackson says, "Well, I can do this." And Preston Martelli says, "Oh, I can do that." Tamara Hunter says, "Well, I can do this." And
Yeah.
Don McGrath says, "I can do that." And then Don says, "Hey, Jim, you're going to be the host." "Oh, okay, I can do that." And my point being, while I was doing the show many times with Zoom, I had some problems. Here I am, the host, and I'd do the disappearing act. I'd get kicked out. And the little wheel sits there and just spins. And thinking, okay, this is good. And I'd keep popping back in and popping out. So when you pop in and out, I understand that, brother. That just, my joke is just keep putting a few more quarters in the machine.
That's right.
Absolutely. Bert, can you hear us okay now?
He's not moving.
He's not moving. Okay, the frame may have froze a little bit. But Bert's credentials, my goodness gracious, Charlene, I didn't get the information to you as quick as I normally do, but just share with the folks a little bit what impressed you about Bert, if you would, please.
I just think it's amazing he's been doing for so long, just being able to help people and
Hmm.
just the life strat. Is he coming back or no?
Oh yeah, he'll be back.
But I just I like his energy. I like his enthusiasm for
Hmm.
life and being able to just help people put all the little pieces together, because that's really what we all need. Is we need those mentors and
Hmm.
to help us have a path. You know.
Yeah, one of his comments he likes to make is that live life, don't let life live you. And I really like that because he's got a grassroots reality on what people need to hear out there. He comes from that very low level like that. And a lot of speakers, when they get on stage or getting on a podcast or TV show, radio show, whatever, they want to use these real big words. And or they want to make kind of sound like they're very intelligent, and that is that's the wrong thing to do, because if you're talking above your audience overall, they're not going to appreciate that. They really aren't. And it's just amazing how many of the people out there that really go down that road. They want to talk and use big words, and I've heard people use words that even I didn't know what they meant. Why is that funny to you? Don't answer
No, no, no. I didn't
that.
mean that.
But
But I know what you mean. You don't want to
yeah,
make people uncomfortable. The whole
yeah.
part of helping people and being able
Hmm.
to connect with them is to come to people on their level, on a common level.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Because when you're talking to someone, they if they don't understand what you're saying, or if they feel like it, you're using words that they're kind of like well, can't put the big picture together, they're not going to go to your website. They're not going to take your free offer. They're not going to do anything with you except be too
Well,
embarrassed to
yeah.
admit that
Well, right. He can't help me. I don't even understand what he's saying. So,
yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely.
exactly. And one of the things too, while we're waiting for Bert to go to the ATM get a pocket full of quarters.
We should have put that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you know the 6 minute webinar does an excellent job of being able to get clarity across. And because most speakers, we like to give too much information.
Mm-hmm.
We want to tell and tell and tell. And you see that in webinars. I mean, goodness, whoever set the standard for those original webinars, my goodness gracious, they go on for 20 minutes about who they are, their credentials, and what the problem is. Number one, you don't care about their credentials right out of the gate.
No.
Can they do something for you?
Right.
Can they solve your problem in your hour of need? That's what they're there for, you know? And in addition to that, goodness, you know, if they didn't have the problem, they wouldn't be there in the first place.
That's right.
And Charlene, you've had experience with the 6 minute webinar. You're familiar with the format and all that. And we're actually having another webinar series coming up. Just go to 6minutewebinar.com and you can join it for $99. It's 3 hour training, and you will leave there with your 6 minute webinar. But make sure nobody else hears this. Let me let you in on a little secret. If you go to this website right here and you email us, you'll be able to get this for free as our free gift. And I've got Bert on the phone, so Charlene, I'm gonna let you go ahead and talk a little bit while I talk to Bert. Hi, Bert.
Okay. Well, the 6 minute webinar, the thing that I like about it is it doesn't waste your time,
Okay,
and it
that's fine.
doesn't waste the people's
Don't worry about
time
it.
that need your services. It kind of narrows down
Okay, I know.
who you want to
Technology.
target and how you want to help them.
Don't
So
worry about it. It's okay.
it gives you a simple list of questions that you answer, and then it actually does all the work for you. So it's amazing. You've got to go to the website, check it out. It's worth your time because, like I said, I can do it. I could put it together. It does the work for you. It just
Oh,
asks you a series of questions, and then it really puts your webinar right together. 6
Yeah.
minutes. So it's amazing. You got to check it out.
It really is, because Don McGrath came up with ScriptPal, and you put your answers in there, and you want them very short and concise. A classic example is like, oh, that was Bert. He's going to find a Wi-Fi that's more. That was Alexa called me. She says, Jim, thank you for being so understanding. I says, hey, this is what's called life, and whenever, sometimes life will throw you a curveball and you go like, okay, what was that? But,
We'll just keep going.
oh yeah, the ScriptPal, what Don did there, you answer a simple question, very concise answer to the question. There's about 40 questions, I think. And you hit submit, the questions and the answers come together. The 6 minute webinar is delivered right to your inbox. That's a 3 hour workshop coming up. It's a workshop, and you will leave there. If you go to the website and join for $99, you'll get 3 hours worth of training. We're talking 3 hours, no bio breaks. Because Don's an engineer. He just drops that plow and gives it the tractor the throttle, and we're going forward. And what's interesting is that if you email us here at the station here, just say, hey, I'm missing the 6 minute webinar, or tell me more. I'll get the information to you where you can get in there for free. That's our gift to you. Okay. Now, what's amazing about the 6 minute webinar, it's, like I say, a lot of people want to tell too much. For example, like, let's say if someone is like a clinical hypnotist, or whether they're a nutritionist or whatever, and they said, and during the 6 minute webinar, I'll show you 3 keys why my diet program will help you lose weight.
Yes.
Right there is too many words. And there's Bert.
Finally.
Yeah, let me just finish my one comment because when you deal with a 6 minute webinar, it goes during the 6 minute webinar, I'll show you 3 ways that my diet can help you lose weight. Well, that is too much information because how many people have had bad results from diets?
Yes.
And you say diet and you go,
Everybody.
oh, I'm out of here, you know? And if you go in and just say, during this 6 minute webinar, I will give you 3 keys, proven keys that will help you lose weight. They're like, okay, I got 6 minutes. I'll listen to that. Makes sense. So anyway, Bert, thank you for allowing me to finish that statement. As I was pitching relief. I'm not doing a good job. So, man, I'm giving you the ball.
First of all, I would like to start by, first of all, thanking both of you for this opportunity and everything that we've gone through. It's been a crazy day today. You know, we were running behind schedule. Then we finally got to the hotel. Then I tried to get onto the Wi-Fi. Then we had someone register us in the hotel. So then I ran up to the room, set up. You just got to do what you got to do, especially in these
Called being flexible. We're
I hear you.
flexible.
I hear
And
you.
that's probably how you train people too. So it's fine. We're just
Oh,
giving them
yeah.
a dose of real reality, right?
Yeah, it's easy when you're coaching someone and you're telling them what they need to do, but when it happens to you, right?
You're doing great.
That's when the chickens come home to roost, brother. Yeah.
But that's what I tell everybody, even my children. I tell them, you know, you have to seize the moment, right? Opportunity doesn't knock twice. People are like, well, it might knock again, but you never know. This can be the one webinar that will change my life. I've been doing this over 27 years all over the world in rooms of over 10,000 people. Some of my best friends are like Les Brown, Zig before he passed away. You know, I've been in the industry for a long time. So at the end of the day, what happens is you have to seize the moment. And I see a lot of people in today, they're like, well, you know, if that podcast doesn't have 500 followers, I don't want to be a part of it. If that one only has 300, you got to be a part of them all, especially now everything stays online forever. So it could be that one podcast, that one group that not only changes your life, but you're able to change the lives of others too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because one of the things that I tell people, Bert, is that, you know, everybody's got a story. And their individual story, they may be able to reach that one person that no one else can reach and change their life. And that's your mission in life, is to share your story and use your gifts in life to be a blessing to others. That's game over, you know?
I agree. And the thing is, people don't understand. There's over 7 billion people on this planet. There's a huge amount of people looking for a guy with this beard.
That's right.
Someone looking for you at the end of the day. And they won't even know you exist if you're waiting for the right time. The right time to do it is now. That's it. This is your time. Whatever it is that you want to do, don't think about it. Well, when I get ready, when I have the right equipment, let me tell you something. Back at home, I have state-of-the-art. I have 2 studios at the house that we have had to build because of, you know, everything we're going through. State-of-the-art. I'm in front of a laptop doing this, and it's like, oh, I'm so spoiled because I have the picture-in-picture, the monitor, all the, you know, the third quarter, everything set up. It doesn't matter. You just got to seize the moment, and this is one of the things that I tell everyone. And this is a great opportunity. It's showing anyone that logged in the beginning, seeing all the errors. This is basically what happened.
You know, what's really amazing is that, you know, I'm sitting here and I got a green screen behind me. This is a picture of the mountains in Bisbee, Arizona. As I like to say, Bisbee, Arizona, Yeah, Arizona, because that's where we lived for many years. I've got a daughter buried there in Bisbee, and I love the mountains. I really do. And, you know, I've just got a laptop and this little microphone here. You know what? It don't take anything real, you know, people want to re-engineer everything and do everything the hard way, you know. And when you talk about, you know, you got to seize the opportunity, that's what happened to us. We started this Zoom and Facebook thing, and then Tamara Hunter says, "Hey, Jim, you guys got a good show." I said, "Well, it's the guest. Don't blame me for that, you know." and she says, "You need to take this to E360 TV." And I said, "What's that?" She says, "Live streaming TV show. This shows you how smart I am." Okay. So I talked to Aaron Hyman. Mr. President, and he looked at what I was doing, and he says, "Yeah," he says, "Man, you need to, we can get you out there." I said, "Okay," so we backed into this thing. People asked me how to get on a TV show. I backed into it. They asked me about my radio show with over 6 million downloads. I backed into that too. I mean, so, a lot of times we think we want to have grandiose plans. Well, you ever heard of that 50-50-90 rule that applies to guys?
No, go ahead, share it.
Okay. If a guy's got a 50-50 shot of going out and doing something right the first time, if he doesn't listen to the wise advice from his wife or the lady in his life, you can rest assured there's a 90% chance he's going to goof it up right out of the gate.
I agree.
I'm a living testimony to that, ladies and gentlemen.
I agree.
Bert, share a little bit more about what you do. And most importantly, one of the questions that I wanted to ask you was, how did you get into this? How did it come to you? What you're doing.
I used to work for a company back in the day because, like people don't realize I've been doing this for such a long time. I started in my early 20s. So back in the day, I used to work for a company called Xerox, the copier company. Mm-hmm. And they had the best sales training in the world. We used to go up to Leesburg, Virginia, and they used to put us in their so-called compound, right? You would walk in and then sign up for, let's say, for example, they had some sort of training, how to sell ice to Eskimos, for example, because they had the best sales training in the world. And I remember that you would go there and you would actually, go ahead and get your room, and you were in your dorm, and you weren't allowed to leave, right? This is a true story. You weren't allowed to leave. So you needed to go to your courses, whether it was a week course or 2 weeks courses, it was all in the same compound. So whether it was raining, snowing, or whatever, it didn't matter because they had underground tunnels to get to the classrooms.
Wow.
And if you didn't show up, they would lock the door. So it taught me a lot going through these sessions back in the day. But I got turned on to these great speakers. I remember seeing Les Brown, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, and they were really very powerful people. They still are, even though some of them have passed. I remember watching these guys. I'm saying, one day I'm going to be doing something like this. This is what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And then, like Les taught me years ago, he says, Bert, the how is none of your business, because what we usually do is we go, I want to do this, I want to do this, and then how am I going to do it? The how is none of your business. Just make sure you want to do something. So long story short, I came out of Xerox. I worked there for several years. I was, selling great, learned how to sell. I had some of the best training in the world. And then I opened up an ad agency that was back in the day. When I was at Xerox, we were the main sponsor of the Olympics. The Olympic has been using the same model for over 20,000 years, which is Altius, Fortius, Citius, which is higher, faster, stronger. So I opened up an ad agency called Altius for higher success, higher achievement. That company, I went ahead and ended up doing work for some of the major players. I was based out of South Florida, so I had a direct connection to Latin America. So we were doing HBO, Sony, some of Discovery. We were doing a lot of the branding for them. But I would go to these meetings, and people will sit around for I would do the meeting selling a brand, a conceptual brand, and they were like, "Oh, this is great. Hold on, can you share that with the marketing director?" Then next thing you know, I would be sharing it with the CFO and all the people. So my wife used to say, "You go into these meetings, you close the deal, but you're there for 8 hours. You need to get paid for this." So that's when I started doing it. I started applying all the stuff that I learned from my mentors. And it's funny, though, because they were mentors at one time. And me being in the industry for so long, a lot of them have become my friend, right? Mm-hmm. So it's all about being able to surround yourself with like-minded individuals. So I ended up going from there to open up my ad agency. After my ad agency, I opened up Bert Oliva Enterprises, which is now Boa World. And I started doing seminars. And I started doing seminars with a little twist, right? I told people, for those people that know, like Tony Robbins is the leader within the industry. And then you had this other guy called Chris Angel, which does some tricks and stuff. So when you put them together, you get a Latin guy. I had people going to the events. We did what we call edutainment, education and entertainment at the same time, which I learned from Zig and from Jim Rohn. It was that, we would you go to the event and we had people eat fire, bend steel, walk on glass, jump off a ladder. So it was like the entertainment part. But if you're able to do those things, what can you not do in life? So
Yes.
long story short, I got known for doing all these breakthroughs and events all over the world, and then it started branching off from there, right?
Mm.
And that's how I got involved.
Wow. That's really amazing. If I could share my little boring story, I always had a fear of public speaking. It's called glossophobia, you know. And sometimes I get on stage, I'd say, how many of you folks in here has ever suffered from glossophobia? And people will start wanting to practice social distancing with you before we even became popular, okay? What happened to me, I was on active duty for Operation Desert Storm. I was in the reserves. I spent a total of 31 years in the military, retired Master Sergeant.
Thank you
And
for your service.
thank you. It's a pleasure to wear the uniform, sir. And I tell people I got an official document from the federal government that says I'm officially retarded. There's some of you folks out there, it'll come back around. Don't worry about it. But most importantly, I came back, and that's when a lot of units are getting shut down, and I couldn't find a unit. And so the only unit would take me was a school, and all they had was instructors. And I'm thinking, oh boy. I could hear the words of my dad that morning when I drove over there early on that Saturday morning for my first time to meet these people. Son, exactly when did this seem like a good idea to you? I mean, I speak in front of anybody. And I became an instructor, but then one of the older instructors taught me. He says, when you get up there and you're a little nervous or something, focus on pronouncing your words phonetically. It's amazing how that calms you down. And what happened was the sweet surprise. This is a nicety to know for you folks out there that's maybe thinking about having the nerve to try something. I found out that I love being an instructor. It was the best job I've ever had in my entire life, even when I owned my manufacturing business. I mean, I love being an instructor. And if they hadn't have told me I was getting too old and too ugly and run me off, I'd probably still be there. But my point being is that when something an opportunity comes your way, and it's not your cup of tea, but it came to you, that's your right calling. Look for the benefit in that. Look for
Yeah.
what you can do for others. Not, I'm going to be scared to death, or I can't. I'm worried about this. I'm worried about that. That's immaterial. That's small time.
Well, like I said, it's a great message, by the way. Number one fear in the world is public speaking. Number two is death. People prefer to die than to speak in public.
Yeah.
True.
Jim, one of the things I love is your voice. You have such a powerful voice.
Oh,
And the first time I've ever met you, but I did listen to some of the podcasts on the drive up from Miami. I'm in Melbourne, Florida, currently right now.
Mhm.
And I was listening to your voice, and you have this voice that's so engaging. I heard one of your podcasts where you said that when you first started, you had to make sure that you had to hide out the Southern accent or phrases,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So I was like, that's part of the sexiness when I hear your
Yeah.
voice.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
That's his personality.
Yeah. I mean, I thought about that in the beginning, but it didn't work,
I love it. I think it's great. It reminds me of Zig.
It's something that I haven't mastered yet. They called it, just a moment, I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. It's called intelligence, whatever that is. Oh my goodness.
You mentioned your father, so he was a major role model in your life when you were growing up.
Yes. Dad was he was a guy that he was tough as nails. He almost got electrocuted on the job. He was a lineman.
Wow.
Had 72,000 volts hit him. This is in 1954. This is before, they didn't use rubber gloves or fiberglass helmets. And they told him the line was dead. And he'd seen some guys get electrocuted. So rather than reach up there and just touch the line like that, to reach it, you have to clamp your hand and you're dead. He would flick it with the back of his finger like that. And that 72,000 volts hit him, knocked him halfway down the pole. And his heart stopped 3 times in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. And he actually, he was never supposed to walk again or maybe advance to a wheelchair, a cane, all that stuff. But he actually retired in 1972 from climbing poles. And I says, Dad, how in the world did you put that, that hook in that next pole and climb it again? He said, "Oh, he says electricity is like lightning. It only has one chance to get you. If it doesn't, you're good to go." I said, I says, "Don't give me that. I'm not that stupid." He says, he looked at me and he says, "Well," he said, "I had a wife and 5 kids and I had no choice. So I put it out of my mind, had faith in God, and I went up those poles." I'm thinking, wow. And I look at my little problems in my life that want make me want to sniffle up and cry. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? But his expressions was hilarious because he'd ask me, like I said before. And another expression I think you appreciate, Bert, is that whatever I was doing many, many times, Dad would look at me and he said, "Son, that looks to me like a good way to skin your ignorance." And you never had to walk away from him scratching your head wondering what he meant by what he said, because he was just that straight out. But yeah, he was a very good.
I wasn't fortunate to have a father growing up. My mother left Cuba when I was 11 months old because my father was communist. So she left the regime, so she came to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
But it's amazing how our parents, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, they teach us so many things because we learn more by seeing the actions that people take than by just words, right? So that's what I tell people, your children are watching you. So you can tell them something, you need to do this, and you need to follow this, but they're really watching you and seeing the actions you take in life. So part of Jim's courage, being a speaker and everything that he did back and even going to the military, which takes a lot of courage, by the way. And that's when I say people, thank you for your service, I'm not just thanking them because of people like Jim, people that have served, this is why we live in one of the best countries in the world. I consider it the best country in the world. But when we came to this country, my mom was cleaning floors, right? She would go into these big mansions. And I remember going with her, and she had no education. She didn't even speak the language. And I remember going to these big mansions, and I'll be like, Mom, one day I want a house just like this. And she would say, "Mijo, son, whatever you want." I would be like, Mom, I want to be a doctor and help people. She said, "Mijo, son, whatever you want, lo que tú quieras." I remember back in the day, the Liberace and Elvis were the ones with the bling bling and the jewelry. And I'm like, Mom, I want to be like Liberace. She looked at me and she goes, "Son, mijo, lo que tú quieras." It didn't matter who I wanted to be, who it was. It doesn't matter. She always told me it was possible. And that's what sometimes when we're doing these events, and you guys know, Charlene and Jim as speakers, your words are very powerful. And sometimes all a person needs to hear is you can do it. It's possible. Anything you have in your life, whether it's wealth. Today, I live an amazing life. I go where I want to go, when I want to go, and who I want to go with. I live an amazing life. And number one, I thank my mom bringing me to this country, the United States of America, that gave me all these opportunities. And number two, she told me it was possible. So that's what I tell people. It's possible. Do not allow other people's opinion of you become your reality. And a lot of people do that. They allow other people to tell them, "You're not smart enough. You're too white. You're too Latino. You're black." When I got in the industry 27 years ago, there was an Anglo white and black American industry. You had your Tony Robbins, your Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn. You had your Les Brown, T.D. Jakes. There was no Latino speaker called Bert Oliva. And I'm like, this is my spot.
Exactly.
I love it.
That's what you got to do. That's why I tell people, look, you can go to an event and get motivation. Motivation is temporary. Educating yourself is what helps you grow. Going into this podcast, being able to replay the podcast, having that power. Because how many of us remember back in the day, Jim, you would go to an event, there was no social media. You better take notes really well.
That's right.
Speaker again, right? And the reason I didn't bring you up, Charlene, is because you seem really young. You're not as old as Jim and I.
21, yeah.
We used to take notes. We had to write those notes and go back and read the notes. People will go into your events and record the session and never go back to the recording. You need to go through notes at least 6 times to retain the information. You need to go back and look at the podcast. If one of the podcasts that you guys have done has moved a person, I tell that person, review it over and over again at least 6 times. Don't go online and consume content. Become a content creator. And the way to become a content creator is by educating yourself. Education is great. We live in a great world right now that we can have access to any information we want and dive deep into it. Back in the day, we're only as smart as whatever encyclopedia we had, right? So if you had 1980, you were only as smart as 1980. Your neighbor he was 5 years ahead. Nowadays, a 7-year-old has the same access as a 70-year-old. So there's no excuse for people not to make their dream become a reality.
You know, it's really amazing you were saying that, because when we backed into the radio show, we started April the 5th of 2019 with just 1 hour on Fridays, and I'm going to get you on the radio show if I can sweet talk you to be with us on the radio.
No, I'm going to be on your show, and I'm going to be early, and I'm going to come to my studio. So
we won't pay any extra for showing up early. How about that?
No, showing up early is being on time, actually.
Yeah,
that's what
I know.
If I remember in Xerox, if I didn't show up on time, they would shut the doors.
Yeah.
But go ahead, tell us about your radio.
But it was the 9th show that we had done, and Dr. Karen Perkins was my guest.
I love her.
And I've known Karen for several years. We go back a ways. And it was about, so that was around, May. It was in the month of May 2019. So about June of last year, she told me, she says, hey, my sister contacted me in Utah, and she heard me on the radio Friday night. I says, really? That's nice. She says, Jim, I wasn't on the radio. I'm like, well, what's there? You know, I mean, she called her sister and says, I wasn't on no radio. Yes, you were. I heard you. And they had our show. Now, this is just the 9th episode. I'm still trying to figure out at this point in time, how do you spell radio? Okay. Our 9th episode. And I'm just thinking, okay, we're just, trying to put out a good show. I mean, doing the best I can. And we were on KSL in Utah, which is a huge FM station. So I thought, wow, that's pretty neat. And so I, contacted them. I said, hey, if you guys want some more boring shows, let me know. I got a bunch of them. And, evidently they didn't appreciate my warped sense of humor, or lack of sense. Some people think it is, but that's okay. But, what an honor. And this was just our 9th episode. I mean, what are the chances of that? So it told us that don't focus on, what you're, like when Bert had problems here earlier. Okay, fine. He called, Lexi called me on the phone. No big deal. That's because I roll with the punches. I'm like an old prize fighter. Just ring the bell. I'm too done.
That's the way it used to be done. Back in the day, the show must go on.
Oh, yeah.
Now people will freak out. They'll flip out. Oh, this is not working. What do I do next? That's when you start seeing the professional person really taking the lead. We're in amazing times, right? We're in amazing times where I don't care how much wealth you have, and I know this because I've been on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we're like an equal playing field. Anyone has an opportunity, just like the rich guy or the poor guy. It's the same. We're all starting at zero for the most part. So what's holding you back? Why isn't it that you're not living the life that you desire and deserve?
Yeah.
Because you're not taking action. People don't like to take action. People are using the pandemic and Corona as an excuse to justify why it is they don't take action. One of the first things that I did when this whole thing happened, I made sure that I stayed on routine. Make sure I had a ritual. Because if not, what happens? I wake up at 5 a.m. every day. As soon as the pandemic came around, I started noticing that I was waking up at 7, then 8. Then 9. I wasn't in a rush to go to an event. I wasn't traveling anymore. I traveled 3 weeks out of the month. I wasn't doing that anymore. So, let me take some time off. Yeah, I enjoyed my children, which, by the way, they're adults now. And they all came back home. But, I got to enjoy that. But then I started realizing, wait a minute. I got to create a pattern interrupt. Mm-hmm. If not, I'm going to go back to where I started. So, what's your ritual? What type of routine do you have? That's what I tell people. They're like, well, not really anything. Well, how you do one thing is how you do everything. If you don't have a routine, like just waking up in the morning, I saw this video a while back of a military person that one of his first thing to do every morning was to make his bed. And it was sending him a trigger that he's now created his first success for the day. You know, and that's all it takes. What's your routine? And if
Oh,
you don't
yeah.
have one, get one as soon as possible because
Oh,
that's all
yeah.
you really need to get started.
I
Because
love that.
even animals have routines. I
That's
get up
They
in the
do.
morning because after about 6 hours, I got to come out of the bed because I'm fully rested. If I lay there any longer, I feel like I'm, won't, trying to get going the rest of the day.
Yep.
And by the time I get in the kitchen, I start making my coffee. And Dixie, my little kitty, for some reason, she thinks I'm her personal servant. I don't know where she got that idea from. But anyway, I'm still making my coffee and she's hollering at me because she wants her treat. And I told her, just a minute. And she said, you can wait on your coffee, servant. I want my treat. So I got to give her a treat. And then she'll leave me alone. But, she's got a ritual in her mind and there's a certain thing, everything has happened a certain way. And if it doesn't, she lets me know about it. And I
Yeah,
mean,
no, those little pets, they own you. I had no idea how important it was to have a pet.
oh, yeah.
True story.
Yeah.
What happened was my mom passed away, and that
Mhm.
really destroyed me. You know, I was at the peak of my success, doing events all over the world, over 10,000 people in these stadiums and conferences. And my mom, just started getting sicker and sicker. And I was in Vegas. And I remember the day before I went to Vegas, I asked her, Mom, do you still want me to go? Because she always told me, show up. You commit to something, you show up no matter what. And it was like her last day here with us, and she was like, "No, you want me to make you coffee?" But she was already at the hospital, but in her mind, she thought she was back at home. And I'm like, "No, Mom, you're in the hospital. You can't make me coffee." And she's like, "You need to go to your event." So I went to my event. I thought I was going to be able to come back home before she passed, but she passed as the day
Mhm.
that I said, "You know what? I'm just going to cancel the event halfway through. I'm going to speak, and then I'm just going to leave." And at that same night she passed. So what happened was everything happened at once, right? A lot of times in life things happen, and it happens. I truly believe that situations and circumstances are the things that build our character to get us ready for what's about to happen, right?
Mhm.
So I'm on top of the world. Next thing you know, I get sued for something. I get sued for a brand that I now own because I won the lawsuit, but for $800,000. My mom passes away. Now, mind you, my mom, when she brought me to this country, I never had a father, no grandparents, no brothers, no sisters. My
Mhm.
mom was my everything.
Right.
So now she passes, and at the end of the day, when that whole thing happened, um, I ended up getting myself a little Maltese. It's like I'm 6'2", 245 pounds. I've been working out for years. I'm a big guy, and I
Mhm.
drive Harleys and everything. But I carry this little thing like this, and this thing just was by my side every
Mm.
moment. I just needed someone. My family was there and everything, but that little dog,
Mhm.
her name is Olivia, and it's just crazy. People laugh at me because they see this big guy with a little dog, and she
Mhm.
owns me.
Mhm.
She's something that pattern interrupts me all the time. So I'm focused, and she's like, "Over here, like your cat. Over here." And you're like,
Mhm. Yeah.
they own you, but it's just amazing that the power that one of those little animals, what they
Yeah.
do to you, and how much connection, right? A
Mhm.
connection they have with you. It's just amazing, and they all have different personalities. It's just crazy.
Oh, yeah. It's just they're very unique. And Charlene, I seem to be doing all the talking, so you can interrupt me anytime you want to. But
That's all right.
we had Rennie Gabriel on the show, and one of the charities that Rennie gives to 100% of the proceeds of his book and other portions of his income he gives to this one charity is called Shelter to Soldier. And what that means, they take dogs from the animal rescue or the animal shelters, and it takes about a year to 15, 16 months to train the dogs. And these dogs can be Heinz Fitzsimmons variety. Most of them are. Most of them are mutts, whatever. But they know what dogs to look for and have a certain heart. They train them and they give a dog to a soldier who is suffering from PTSD.
Oh, that's
And
beautiful.
what's beautiful about that?
Great.
Not one of these people have suffered or been a victim of suicide.
Wow.
Think
That's
about that. And
awesome.
that's the
I just get
healing
a bunch,
power
I
that
just
you're
get a
talking
bunch
about.
of
The dog.
goosebumps, man. That is such a beautiful
It's,
thing that person is doing. It's just amazing.
It really is. Rennie Gabriel, and he's on the show here, and he's on our YouTube channel. But also, just get in touch with us on anything we talk about here because we'll be glad to give you information. And Charlene will always make sure it's the correct information. If you'd
I
like to be a
will. I'll
guest with
double
us,
check
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Well,
sure,
Charlene, I want you to participate. You know, Jim and I just having a great old time here because
yeah.
I'm enjoying it.
first of all, Jim, I love her intro. It's very
Mm.
cool. Really, really nice. It took your show to the next level, by the way.
Oh,
Thank you.
yeah. Well,
Tell me a little bit.
it's break time for me and time for Charlene.
You let me have fun
Tell me,
with that.
Charlene, you know, what got you into this self-help world and getting to work with Jim? You know, how did you get involved?
How fun. I was a guest way back when we were first starting out on Zoom. I was a guest. I came in and I told my story and that was it. We've been like, I've been part of the family ever since.
But Jim has that power, though. You know, I've never met him, but I feel like now I'm his best friend. You know, I feel that connection. He has this vibe.
Oh,
Right?
He's amazing. He's amazing. No, it's just, I love the show, the stories of inspiration and hope. That's just me. I mean, I love it. And it's what I do too with my nonprofit. I help people who've been through sexual trauma. And it's about being there for other people, just like you were talking, the way that your mom supported you and said, you can do it. You know, so many people don't have that. So we need to be that for them.
Mm.
And that's really the show is inspirational. We're trying to reach out and just be there for people.
You're not trying.
Like you're saying,
You guys are
like
reaching.
you're saying, you can do this. What is your purpose in life? And you'll find it if you're not afraid to go move forward. And I like the way we were talking about not being there. Thank goodness Jim wasn't afraid to talk, and he was afraid, but he moved forward, and now look at him.
now they can't
None of
shut
us
me up.
would be here.
Now you guys should, right?
When Charlene first came on the show, the little webinar series, and I'm listening to her story, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, everything she had went through in her life, all the sexual trauma. But what really struck me was her beautiful blue eyes and what a light I saw in her eyes. There was joy and jubilee just flowing out of her eyes and just bubbles over. It's kind of like putting the icing on the cake of life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, this lady, I mean, I'm thinking, my goodness gracious, she overcome all these horrible monsters in her life. She created this nonprofit. She's got this light in her eyes. I said, she's my kind of people.
That's beautiful.
And just when I asked her, would you do me some commercials? She jumped at the chance. And of course, I was running the first few days of the show by myself. And I'm thinking, boy, if people will get tired of looking at my face. So if I can do this with my face, think what you can do with your face. And I just called her up and I said, hey, Charlotte, would you like to co-host with me? And she loved it. And look at the contribution. I mean, it's all about taking the opportunity that comes to you. So many times we try to, come up with these grandiose ideas, as I like to say, but most of the time it's not your calling. And you'll find yourself pushing and chained
No,
up
you
here.
have a major point there, Jim. Sometimes your calling, you don't have to work as hard once you find your calling. It just flows. It just flows. Once you know you're doing things right, some people kind of get themselves so busy, so they have busy work to make sure they're doing something, but they're really not doing anything. They're spinning those tires over and over again. They're not moving. But when you guys have good synergy, right? You can feel the flow that you guys go back and forth, and that maybe like I tell people come into your life for either a season, a reason, or a lifetime. Not in any order, but it is what it is. Most of the time, we want everyone to come into our lives for a lifetime, and then you don't enjoy those seasons or the reason they came to your life.
Right.
So look at it as every time I meet someone, it's either a season, a reason, or a lifetime. It doesn't matter which one it is. Hopefully, everyone's a lifetime, right? But for the most part, I enjoy and embrace whether it's for a reason that I'm learning that lesson, or maybe for a season where they may help your business or you may help them for that season, and then perfectly a lifetime. Like hopefully we end up being friends for a lifetime. That's my goal. But it is what it is. At least live in the present. The present is the most important thing in our life. And in fact, it's funny because The present is the one gift that people don't open every day. They're so
Mm,
focused on the future or the past. If I should have, would have, could have, or if I would have, no, live the present. And the thing is that the present in Spanish is
mm,
called el presente, which is also a gift. So in both
mm.
languages, gift that people don't open up.
I love
That's
that. I
yeah,
love
that's
it.
neat. That's really neat. I like that too because it's amazing how many people that they get up out of the bed in the morning and they're just kind of like they immediately focus on the problems.
Hmm.
And I remember one time when I had my business, I had a contract with Alcoa and I fulfilled the first contract. But see, it takes about 3 months to get your money because of all the processes got to go through. And they called me to do another. Hmm?
What type of business?
It was with Alcoa, the mining company.
Oh,
I
okay.
lined. They had a 12-mile long chute, a 12-mile long conveyance system out there, and I lined all the chutes for them. And had a bunch of money tied up, and of course you couldn't get paid, or you could not get your invoice submitted till everything is signed off. And then it takes another 5 to 7 working days for it to get in the system. Then on the 60th day, the check is automatically cut, and they tell you that up front. And so then they called me again. They says, the vendor we had down there at the 18-mile at the Three Oaks mine, we fired him. We want you to pick up the job for us. And I'm thinking, oh man, I can't even afford to pay what I got. They got a lot of money tied up there. And so one night I decided, well, tomorrow I'm going to make that phone call at 9 o'clock. I already went to my bank and told them what the deal was. I said, well, if you need the money, we'll loan it to you. I'm going like, yeah, but it's kind of dumb for me to be a little guy borrowing money keep a Fortune 500 company in business. Let me think about this a minute. You know, I mean, this is but that was what I was faced with. And I got up that morning. I walked outside. It's about 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm drinking my coffee, and I'm thinking I'm going to make the call by 9 o'clock. I'm not going to let this thing eat me up. One way or another, I'm going to solve this thing. All of a sudden, there was this thought that came to my mind. It says, "Do you hear the birds?" And I stopped, and the morning birds were singing like they always did, even though we're in the middle of a drought here in Texas, about 2 year drought. And I'm listening to the birds, and the next thought that came to my mind was that even they will sing in the middle of a drought.
Wow.
I'm going, whoa, Nelly. And that one guy asked me, he said, was it a thought, Jim, or did you actually hear a voice? I said, no, it was a thought. If it had been a voice, it'd been something like this. Hey, Moron. Yeah, this is JC. Me and Big Daddy need to talk to you, boy.
Hey, one of the things is, and I know we're coming to the end of the show, but one of the things that I learned from one of my
Sure.
mentors, Omar Perry and Tom Hopkins,
Mhm.
was they have a ritual, right? You wake up in the morning, he says, the first thing you do when you put your feet on the floor is you say, today's going to be a great day. And you repeat that over and over again. Today's going to be a great day. And then you, as you're taking a shower, you say, I'm alive, I'm awake, and I feel great. So
Mm.
you
I love
think
it.
that to yourself, right? Now, when you're walking out to take over the world, you go ahead and you say this to yourself. Champions don't moan, champions don't bitch, champions go out and get rich, rich, rich.
Yeah, I like that. There you go. That's right. There you
But
go. I like
it's so important. A lot of people think by waking up that, oh, I'm awake. I wake up every morning. No, there's a difference between being awake and being aware. And
mm,
most people live life aware. Being aware is being able to walk out those doors and notice the flowers, the
mm,
wind, the birds chirping. Most
mm,
of the time,
Yeah.
when they wake up and they go straight on automatic pilot and they're not paying attention, what's really the beautiful things around them. You know,
mm.
look, if you don't go through tough times, you're not going to grow. If it
Oh,
was
that's
easy, we would be doing it, right? I remember
oh.
the first time I got on stage was nowhere near the way I get on stage today.
Mm,
I've never got kicked off, but I got a couple of boos here and there, right? But the thing is, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect.
yeah.
Sharpen your saw, sharpen your axe, master
Mm,
your craft. Once you become a leader in the industry, you'll never have to work again. People will
mm,
find you. The time, everything will start falling in place, but you have to put in the work. Anyone
mm.
that tells you that you're going to be rich in just 3 easy steps, I would not buy that package and I would run the other way. it's not that easy. It takes work. In order for Jim and Charlene to have a show like this, especially, I mean, mostly Jim, because you've been doing it for so many years, and now you have your counterpart, is because I'm sure when you first turn on that radio, you weren't a success. It takes a while. But now I looked at your lineup, and I know some of the greatest speakers that I know, like Orlia Moore was on your show.
Yes.
Karen Perkins on your show. Christopher Lane is on your show. You're tapping into greatness, great speakers. Why do they go to your show? It's not just because of sexy sideburns. It's because obviously you're bringing value and you really love what you do, but it took you years to get there. And that's the thing. Our children, the millennials, are being taught the wrong way. They're being taught that it doesn't take that much work. Anything that's worth getting in life, you have to put the work in. Something that's, and it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens over time.
Mm-hmm. You're exactly right, because one of the things that we stress over and over on the show is that if you're struggling out there and you're alone, the very first thing you want to do, you want to find people have the same kind of heart as you have. And you want to make sure that you offer value to them and invest in them, and that they'll do the same in return. And Zig Ziglar said for many, I don't know how many times he said it probably everybody got in front of, that you can get anything out of life that you want as long as you help other good people get what they want.
Exactly.
Notice the prerequisite there. You can get anything out of life that you want as long as you help them. You got to do something first. It's like a farmer planting a field. You got to plant the crops if you're expecting a harvest.
Exactly.
I mean, this is not overly complicated. We're getting down to about 4 minutes left, and I'm just going to let you just go ahead and take the ball there, Bert, and say anything you like to, brother.
Well, I'm not going to talk for 3 minutes, but I'm going to leave you with one message. The message is that this is your time. Whoever is paying attention to this podcast or watching this video, this is your time. And maybe you needed Jim and Charlene and myself to let you know this is a time for you to live the life that you desire and deserve. But you need to take action. Don't give up on yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. Life is going to do that by itself. Just learn from your mistakes, adjust things, and move forward. At the end of the day, fear. We spoke about fear today. Fear is false expectations of being real. We fabricate things in our mind. Once you pass through that fear, everything starts happening. So I just want to leave you with one message. One quote, the quote I live by is, live life, don't let life live you. My name is Bert Oliva. Cuban born, American made.
There you go. There you go. I love that. I love that. I got to applaud you on that, brother. I love that.
I love my country. I love being here. I love the opportunity. My children, they're when I brought them into this country, into this world, I made sure that I didn't want to have a Pablo, Maria, and Juanita. So there's Miles, Sabrina, and Dylan. Everything is American, man. This is the country that changed my life and gave me the opportunity. And I tell people, look, stop beating up on it. If you don't love it, then get out of here. You go back to where you came from, because this country is maybe the best country in the world. And I travel the world, and I do events all over the world. We have a nonprofit, and we'll talk about it on another show, but a nonprofit where we go speak to children all over the world. In Belize alone, we've spoken to over 50,000 children. That's our way of giving back. My wife says when you get to a certain level of success, it's your obligation to give back. And we've given back by going to these countries. But there's no country. I always miss coming back home. I love being home. I want to be home, and this is a great place.
I had to change horses here in the middle of the stream. My mic went out, so I guess I didn't put enough quarters in this thing. So the important thing is when things go bad, you always have plan B. And then when plan B goes bad, you find somebody to blame plan C on. But it's just amazing.
Show called Rolling With It.
Yeah, I got no idea what happened. Maybe sometimes this electronic stuff, I'm convinced that Pluto gets in line with Jupiter, and they pull the whole electronic spectrum off whack. And I'm not smart enough to figure that out, but I do.
This happens. People are using an excuse that Zoom and whatever Stream Deck and all these things. It happens in live events.
Yeah.
Right. How many times have you gone to a live event? You have your PowerPoint and the projector doesn't work. We'll deliver, right? Yeah. I've been to events where microphones don't work. You just got to go with the flow.
You know what I love to do? Like when Charlene comes on or something like that, a lot of times she'll be sitting there and she'll say hello to me and I go, and she's all looking at and
All
now
right,
she's taking,
guys,
I
thank
tell
you
you,
so much. Looking forward to connecting with you guys again. Next time, I will make sure that I'm in a
oh,
state of the art equipment, and it still won't work, but it doesn't matter. So, Charlene, it was a pleasure. Jim, thank
oh
you
yeah,
so much, and just let's stay connected.
you bet. Sounds
So
good, my
nice to
man.
have you, Bert.
Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. You know, we'll get together. We'll have you on a radio show. I'll get
Yes,
with you.
sir. Thank you
Okay.
very much. Talk to you
Thank
guys
you.
later.
Bye
All right,
bye.
bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's our show for the day. We've got to wrap everything up because we're out of time. We're out of quarters too. So, Charlene, what a show, huh?
That was awesome. See, it didn't go as planned, but it was wonderful.
Yeah, it really was because
Made
the
it a little more
content was there.
special.
Mhm.
Yeah, I made it a little more special.
Oh yeah, yeah. Especially when you lose your mic at the last. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. It's called life. But anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll be back tomorrow. And we'll have Kim Miner with us tomorrow. We're looking forward to having you join us too. I'm Jim Grant. And remember, our show is proudly brought to you by the good guys at the 6-Minute Webinar. That's 6minutewebinar.com. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.
Bye.